What's up, YouTube? Your boy, Who That Comics is here. I'm just gonna have a little discussion. It's kind of open forum kind of thing, but it's gonna be talking. Might talk about some stuff that's not related to what we probably start off talking with. But my boy Boston Chris wanted to kind of talk about the UF4 reprint of the reprint. That's what I call it. C2E2 stuff. So I shout out to my boy Sands. We talked about this, me, myself, Nola, Journals Comics, and the whole crew at Wine and Cheese, Promiscuous Time Traveler, Sands, and I forgot, and I'm forgetting next level. I can't even think right now. But so shout out to those guys. Had a lot of fun talking about it. So we just kind of probably talk about it amongst ourselves. People in the chat can leave comments. You can leave comments when the video is posted. We're not going to be talking about trashing any people and stuff like that, but probably just about what our experiences are and stuff like that. So while my printer is going off, I'm going to mute and enter in my boy Boston Chris and Nola.
Hello. Man, oh man.
So what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about the whole? Because I know I haven't talked to you, Chris, about this whole crazy stuff.
I mean,
see what you thought. What you thought about it?
I have to say, I'm just agitated about this whole thing, man. No. I do find this to be really, I don't know, for lack of a better word, it's shady and it's kind of a dirty business that's happening, and it's, I mean, there's a lot of different places that blame can go, and I really do think that it's something that needs to be addressed by all the proper parties involved. But I also think too, we as collectors, I think, need a chance to really. I think we need a chance to maybe look again at things and maybe reevaluate what we value, and maybe like what's an actual con exclusive, because I really do think that when it comes down to it, that like what drove a lot of this is partially the practices that were happening, and really just kind of, I guess, trying to cater to getting bigger, the influences to try to make this book sale go crazy and make people love this. But there's also like people giving in a FOMO and being like, oh, I have to have this. Like, no, you don't. Like why is an expensive reprint the book that everybody needed? You know what I'm saying? Like that's my thought process. Like, why is that the thing that makes you just get upset and freak out and just go, like, you know what I mean? Because I look at it where it's just like, I know why people are mad, because, like, all right, we found out this thing was going to be there, we wanted to get it, and then all of a sudden, you have what's going on is just that there's people that are I guess predetermined or I guess, I don't know if I can call it predetermined because I wasn't there, but I know the stories I've heard, and it's just like they basically were allowing for people to take as many as they wanted, and the people that got the first shot at it seems like, from the stories I've heard, that it's all big influencers who had big bankrolls, knowing full well what this was going to do and how they were going to try to sell this thing as soon as they got it. So that in itself is kind of a dirty practice. I think that's really messed up, because that, like, I mean, everybody came into this. Let's put it this way: I know how I came into being a part of the comic community on YouTube, and it was just looking for different videos, and then I found a channel that was big, and I just kind of followed that because I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna I'm gonna go with this, and that's how I came in, and I know that's how a lot of newer people come into this thing. So now it's just like a lot of those people who may be new to the community or don't really understand what goes on with this think that, oh, like, well, this guy's saying buy this book, I gotta get this book. It's just like,
yeah.
It's stupid. Like, it's a dumb thing to do, and I just think that really, like, for people who understand this, and know like what this is all about, I understand people being upset at it, because it's like, if you're a collector, you get mad at this because it's like, this is a ridiculous practice, and it's not good in any way, shape, or form, and it's actually it's going to rear its head again this weekend at the Boston Fan Expo, just because I'm going to that. And Thoro had his show. His show is actually still going, talking about, this whole thing and just, different stuff. But he had posted at one point on the show, I guess, the plans from Black Flag for more exclusives to be sent out at Boston, and for these books to. So Black Flag has it saying that, like, there's going to be a Ghost Rider Crane variant on Friday with a revision acetate, and then a Deadpool on Saturday, and then a Venom, and it's to be sold in 2 separate lines. One for retailers, flippers, and influencers to buy 10 copies, and then a collector line where they can buy 1 copy with 100 copies to be sold in that line. And then the print run is going to be $350 for each title, and each will be $100 to $125 plus. So that, if this is legit, this is one of the shadiest things I've ever heard of. Because who decides who is an influencer? Who decides, what I mean? Do they already know who's going to be the influencer, who they're going to go ahead and books out to? And then on top of that, so if you're a collector, you have, just basically 1 that you can get, which, all right, fine. I'm not upset at that, but it's $100 to $125 plus. So what does that mean? Oh, okay, so we have the 100 right here and we're good. Oh, now we're up to 50. It's going to be $300 now. Oh, I'm sorry, we have 10 left. That's going to be $500, son. Sorry. Like, that's the shadiest shit I've ever heard.
No, I can tell you this. That post was actually not real.
Good.
CBSI, somebody posted it to try to be funny on there, which was very good, because if you don't read the whole thing, or you only take that screenshot, you think it's real. But yeah, it was actually like a little meme post or whatever. Because I'm in the group and I saw the whole thing, and then when it got shared around, I was like, that wasn't even real, So I was just like, that part, I know that's not that part. The line difference is not that's not real. Shout out Ben Compton and Film Age Studios. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
No,
so
that video. I didn't see that video.
But I didn't see any response video from Black Flag. I saw different things from different places. So that's another thing that's kind of hard with this. And I'm not saying that that everything I've seen is 100% the full story, just because everybody's got different perspectives on what happened, how it happened, and everything like that. So it's just like, I think that the truth lies somewhere in the middle of all that stuff. But there's definitely there's definitely things that are being kind of, I think, swept under the rug by a lot of places. There's definitely things that I think might be being embellished because people were mad because they missed out on their FOMO buy. And then, there's also just kind of damage control happening from different places, and people just being quiet when they shouldn't, and should be saying, hey, listen, like, Marvel should have something to say about this. Be like, look, either we let this go or we didn't. But right now, people think that Marvel didn't approve this at all, and so that makes everything, like, optically it looks bad. It doesn't look good on any sort of way. And I mean, I think in terms of where we stand as collectors, should this upset you? Should this affect you? Should this make? I mean, you can kind of go all over the spectrum on that, but I really do think that, like, if you take the time to really evaluate what it is that you collect, what you like, and what you do, then what the con exclusive for you could be, maybe it's not that FOMO book, and that's a good thing. Maybe.
Well, at the end of the day, you just collect what you love and love what you collect. So, and if you want that stuff,
What nobody talks about with this, again, it's a facsimile cover from 6 months ago that nobody wanted.
Yeah.
So why does everybody all of a sudden want it now? There's only one reason, and that's to try and flip the book because they think it's worth something. You could have bought this book off of their website for the last 6 months for $30, probably. Just guessing.
Yep.
It's a facsimile cover. It says so on the CGC label, and that's a whole nother story about CGC in this book. But the fact of the matter is, all of these people who are making a big deal out of this book are the people that wanted this book once they realized that they could flip it. And that's it. There's no other reason to want this book. You could have had it. So stop riling everybody up. Stop making a big deal out of this. your argument is that you're a collector versus a seller. Well, we all know that's a bullshit argument. Everybody here tries to sell books when they can. And if you have the opportunity to take $5,000 and make 15 grand, or 10 grand and make 25 grand, there's none of us that wouldn't take that shot.
No.
So
I think,
again, I'm not saying there wasn't some shady stuff that goes down, but that stuff always goes down. It's just normally not done right there in public on the con floor in front of a line of people.
Yeah. No, like that was the biggest thing I took from that. I was like, man, they could have bought all that. They could have bought all that stuff behind the scenes, and you would have never knew about it.
It's the
that's actually how it normally is with those whatnot stuff. If people notice, like you wonder how do you get all these books, because it's done in the backstage, or they talk to the artists, and they get the artist there to, hey, yeah, this is my book. They're selling my book, and you're like, wait, how you got Sajaj Shaw? Because I was talking about him earlier. He was on one of these on whatnot, and they had all of his exclusives. Not all of them, maybe I don't know, but they had the majority of all exclusive and stuff like that from the show, right? And it's like, wait, how are they selling books? Because they bought the book from him, and then they're selling it on their platform, and he's there. And I guess part of the deal was, hey, come on there and promote it. So it's that's the funny part I thought of the whole that matter. But it's like it could have been done behind scenes. You would have never knew about it. But
they botched the execution of it like horribly. It's just like, and that's the thing. Like, had it been done like normal, okay, maybe you have people like, maybe you have somebody like griping about like, oh, like, these guys got this like this, but who's to say, like, if you do it behind the scenes, who's to say that that's what really happened? Just because now it's opinion more so than anything else. But now, that you have all this stuff going. I mean, it's still opinion, I think, but it's just kind of people have actually seen the shadiness up close, and they're just like, this is bullshit.
And but that's the thing. The onion got peeled away for people. And now they're all butthurt, and get over it. That's all I got to say.
Exactly. I like what I say, and I made a video about it earlier, and I really do think that if you as a collector, or if you go to a con and you want to figure out what's a con exclusive, you can't tell. If you go to a show and meet a creator that you've always wanted to meet, and you get a signature of that person, and you never had a chance to see them before, that's a con exclusive. I don't know. I know it's not, the con exclusive that, like, everybody there is going to get one, but shit, at least that's there. Like, hey, I met George Perez at this show. I've never seen him before. This is exclusive for me. I went and I bought my grill at this show. That was, you know what I mean? But like be excited for that. Oh, I got a commission. I got a commission done for me. No one else has it. That's an exclusive. Like, go with that stuff, and say, like, don't get so wrapped up in the FOMO. Like, there's a million other things you can buy at a con that are going to be just as good as this one thing. Whether you just decide that you're going to sell it or not, that's up to you. But the point of the matter is, like, there's other things that you can get at cons. You're getting pissed off about this book that, like, that literally is so limited and is done on purpose that, you're going to most people are going to miss out on it. So I say don't focus on it. Like, focus on figuring out what you like in the con, because it's not there. I wanted this one book and I couldn't get it. No, like, if that's what you came for, I mean, you shit. Why did you even buy a ticket? You could have done that in 15 minutes. But like, you wasted a ton of money.
And a lot of these exclusives get told to beforehand what's going to be dropping. And if you want certain things, go to those lines. Or if you're a big seller or reseller, a lot of these people have phones. You can DM them, email them, say, hey, and are y'all having a limit? Can I purchase some a few head of a time? Or if you're gonna do that type of stuff, try to do it a little bit. I want to say a little smarter. That's just my opinion. Like, I don't care if you do it, but just be smart about things. You don't see the guy who stole big screen TVs out of Walmart right in front of Walmart selling the big screen TVs. He might be in the neighborhood selling them, but he's not gonna be right in front of Walmart doing it. Like, so
exactly.
It's just to me, it's the execution. The execution was terrible. And then people were set up. That's how I feel about it, because of my profession. I feel certain people were set up, because if you got people that that are at the convention asking you to say, can you buy me 20? Can you buy me 10? And you're like, Like, hold up. Why you can't come over here like this? I don't even mind you coming in front of me. Like this, I don't want to buy 10 books for you when I'm already getting 10 for myself.
Yeah, no, exactly, and
Like,
that's another viewpoint on it. Just because, like, and you don't hear that being discussed really, just because it does make other people look worse. Like it's like, oh, I'm the focal point of this, but like
it
all
made,
these other
it
people
made
got
nerdy
these too.
girl. It made nerdy girl look way worse. It made like when people names got dropped by other people that probably didn't need to be like Skeff Comics, it made him look way worse. And it's like that didn't need to happen that way either. And some people you didn't even know about. Like,
And then you got,
like
I was just gonna say, and then you got people getting called out. You got people getting called out that apparently weren't even at the con.
Yeah, they weren't even there.
So at this point, it's not even about the book at all. It's just about, you know, something about these people gets under my skin, and I'm just gonna put them on blast because, you know, I don't like these guys for whatever reason. And next thing you know, everybody from a certain little social group is getting all tugged into this same bunch of BS. And it's silly. It's fucking silly.
Yeah. It's not like we're fighting over a first appearance or something, a real first appearance.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just I don't know. Like I understand people getting upset, and I like I don't like the practice of it. I think the practice of it is, you know, like we've all said, the execution was horrible. And I think Hudat's analogy of the guy stealing TVs from Walmart and then walking in front of the store and selling them, like that's the greatest analogy you can put for that. It's just like it's a bad thing, and maybe, you know, I mean, people, I would say, to preserve, you know, everybody from freaking out the way they did, you know, you know, the backdoor deals, let them be what they are. Because at least if they're behind the curtains, no one knows what's going on. No one, like, it might be hearsay, but you can dismiss that. That's easy to dismiss. I don't know what this guy's talking about.
But you know what else is gonna happen? A few months from now, we're gonna forget about it because you know what I'm still pissed about this, and people don't talk about it anymore, and they forget about it. But what I'm still pissed about through Whatnot is the Invincible One selling for more than the first print.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that still to this day irks me more than anything. And I got some for free, and I'm telling you this, that it irked me, and that book shouldn't have been selling for more than the first print. It's no way impossible, and it got pushed to a certain extent, and people bragged, like they literally bragged about it on IG because people post videos. Oh, 3,000! Oh, and you're like, man, you can get a 9.8 for less than that. What are you talking about? Like, what's going on right now? And that got me. It had me kind of mad. I'm still mad about it because we forget about it. People forgot about it, and now we got a new thing. We got a new thing to bring up. And we're gonna get mad, and then we're gonna forget about it. And something else is gonna happen.
Well, I think the other thing, well, actually no, because that puts a face to it too, and it's just like it's just weird. I think you know, it still goes back to the fact that like it wasn't in people's face in that same way. You know what I mean? Like this didn't happen with like here I am waiting in line, right? I'm gonna get my and then like this was like, you know, pretty much given to a small group, and then, you know, because people are crazy, and that I think. There's a lot of things that influence that, and unfortunately, I think COVID being one of them, just because people had all that extra money to burn, and you know, it's easy to just be like, oh, I'm gonna just go ahead and pick up all these big books just because I can, because I got this extra money, and it's just like, you know, and that's fine, you know what I mean? But it's just like, I don't know, I don't know what kind of gets people to stop buying from FOMO, but it's just it really is kind of weird, and it's just, I mean, if you want to do that, that's you, but I just think that it's a not dangerous trend. I don't think it's going to kill comics, because I really don't. I don't believe that at all. But I do think that it's just like it's going to make a lot of people get real bitter, and there's really no need to. It's just like if you just take a second to.
I don't think it will kill comics, but it's going to kill people's experience. Have new experiences. And which is could lead to a downward spiral. If that person has a family, they're like, don't get any. I was burnt before, blah blah blah. You know, so it's like it could lead to that. I don't think it would kill it, but and do you really want to give somebody a sour taste in their mouth selling them a book that you know it's not worth that much? when
Yeah.
they can go get a first appearance or a second print or whatever you want to call it for basically the same price.
Yeah.
It's that's the part that I think that's gonna the experience people have after the fact
Yeah.
is gonna be thing. Yeah.
There's an it just occurred to me. There's an interesting part of this that I haven't heard anyone bring up surrounding Whatnot. Is what are the, for lack of a better term, ethical responsibilities of a platform that sells comic books actually producing comic books and pushing them?
That's true.
Yeah, because now they're doing publishing.
Right, now they're a publisher, basically, because they're doing exclusives all the time. So at some point you have access to I don't know what, probably one of the top 2 selling platforms right now. Whatnot and eBay,
Yep.
probably top 2.
Yeah.
You've
But yeah,
got
it all
your
depends on what you're
own
looking at.
books that you're pushing on your own platform through sellers that you sponsor.
It's a it definitely is that's a tough one to think about because when does it become a conflict of interest? You know what I mean? Where it's just like, it's up to them to try to make as much money as they can. So they and it's the people that are selling, of course, they're looking to make money too. So it's just like that's gonna try to drive everything up. And there's not I mean, can you fault them for it? Yes, but also too, it's just like, but that's the bit because like you said, they're a publisher and they're selling something that's exclusive, so they're gonna try.
I don't think eBay once they go live and doing their stuff, I don't think they're gonna probably be doing that side of it. Like because I think I've been preaching eBay's deal with millions of eyes, and this kind of press, they don't want this kind of press. They want to make as much money from everybody.
Yeah.
Not a select few. They want to make money from everybody. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how they do theirs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like compared to Whatnot, when you have like 10, or 10 might be a low number, but when you have like 10 people selling all at the same time on eBay, you won't even feel that.
No.
I think when you could have 100 people selling at the same time on eBay, and with their servers and size of people, I don't think you don't even feel that. Like, oh man, Nola's selling the same time as me on eBay. I'm not even gonna probably. You're not even gonna feel that on eBay. That's what's gonna be interesting to see. Bub said. He said.
So, Bub, it's funny that you say that because I bought one. I bought it before all of this kicked off, and there was a lot of uproar about it, and I got a decent price on it. But after talking to Houdat and everybody for the last couple days, honestly, I think what I want to do is I want to send it into CBCS and just see how it comes back from CBCS.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'm super curious what they'll put on the label. So
yeah,
I think that's what I'm going to do, just as a interesting.
Especially if nobody else does it first.
Yeah. You'd be the first one.
Because I'm very curious if you can get like a 9.8 or 9.9 or a 10 from CGC, and then if CBCS says, wait, it has 2 extra staples, all kinds of stuff. Like if they say all that stuff on their notes, and you be like, oh.
Well, that's the other thing, Bubs. I think exactly, sis. I'm doing it for science. Yeah, because it just doesn't matter to me. I could try and resell it real quick and still get money for it because they're still going for $350 on eBay at this point. So I could probably make some money off of it if I wanted to. But at this point, I'm more curious to see what'll happen if you send it to CBCS. So
yeah, because I mean, unfortunately, and I know a lot of people would say, "Wow, just let this, let this die and go away." It's probably not going to. I mean, it'll live on for a few months, and it's just like and it's just going to be one of those things where it's just like, I mean, why not? Like, why not send it to CBCS and see what they do? Just because they themselves now have kind of a different situation where it's just like, no, like, they should be harsh on this thing and really say like, we're going to like nail everything that's wrong with this thing. Just because with CGC kind of taking the other approach and being like, wow, we stand by what we did, and it's a 9.9 or it's a 10, and it's not. But like CBCS could be like, so these guys have next to no credibility, and we're gonna go ahead and just literally give you what you should have gotten for this book. You know, that's their prerogative to go ahead and do that. So we'll see what happens. If it comes back at 9.9, that'll be amazing.
And I hope people realize when those books are getting 9.9s and 10s, that's that sheet of plastic that they're grading. That's not the book. That's that acetate sheet that they're grading. It has nothing to do with what the book looks like. It's the same thing they do with double covers. They just grade the outside cover.
Yeah, so it's really just a weird.
The outside cover gets the big grade. They'll grade all the covers for the double, you know. But the big grade is always the nicer cover, whatever one it is. Right. It's not, which is, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it really is just I guess if nothing else, it's a lesson to them. Like, look, you know, don't kind of repackage a book that you didn't sell last year and you want to kind of, you know, dress up to look nice. Like, do the work, make a new printing of it if you're gonna do it, and then really make this thing, you know, like put it together as something that, you know, is worthy of being called a new book, not just some. Well, we just Frankenstein this thing together and now here you go, brand new.
And to answer Sid's question, when you hear the details of how many certain people bought, it's not hard to know that it's sold out in 10 minutes. When you have like at least 2 people that we know of bought 200 copies. Yeah, so, you know, and that's 2 people out of the 50 or so in that line, you know. So when you got 2 people, and that's not counting Jim Mitt, he said how many he bought and stuff like that. I'm just talking about 2 people that names got dropped that didn't need to be dropped, and not the whole facts about what they were buying. You know, why they were buying that many. You know, so it's I could see them selling out when you got people buying 200. Like 2 people, like if it was 3 of us and we bought 300 copies of 750, it's going to sell out.
Oh yeah,
it's going to sell out.
I think that's the other part of this that feels super shady. Is the fact that people sponsored by Whatnot are apparently the majority of the people who bought up this book. It feels like a concerted effort to increase the demand for this book. Yeah. And they immediately hopped on their own platform and started pushing this book as sold out in 10 minutes. You know, of course it was, because like we just said, most of them bought probably 3/4 of the books. Yeah. So, you know, it's, look, guys, we were talking about this on Sand's show earlier. We like to think that we're important in this, and we're not. None of us have spent enough money to make a dent in whatever.
Not even the people who bought all those books. They're not even that important.
I honestly would have been able to do probably the 2 book limit that they had said. Like, you can have 2, okay? I'm not dropping $16,000 on that.
Honestly, the owner, I would have felt weird. Say, wait, how many are you trying to get? Even though I don't have a limit, I don't know. Wait, you want 100? I was like, let me sell you this many, and let me get through this line, and just get back in line, and I have no problem selling you the other half or whatever. How many more? It is. I'd have felt weird, you know, when I see people saying
the one entity in all of this that I put any blame on is Black Flag.
Yeah,
because this feels really orchestrated on their end.
Yeah.
They had those books that they had already submitted to CGC that they knew came back 9 9s and 10s. They used that. I'm sure they sent that around to all these people and let them know, look, these books are getting high grades. You know, if you guys want to get in here early and buy up a bunch of these books, and no one's ever going to be able to prove any of this, but they're sitting on a bunch of books they couldn't sell beforehand. They, as Bubs just said, they created a gimmick, and good for them, by the way, for creating the gimmick. Bad for them for handling it the way it got handled. So, but the whole thing just feels extremely orchestrated to benefit one person in particular, and that is Black Flag.
Oh yeah, and
the other group took advantage of it, which you can't blame them for taking advantage of just something that another person created.
Again, there isn't one among us. There's not one among us that would not spend $5,000 to get $12,000 back. There's not one of us that wouldn't do it. Or 10 grand to get 25 grand back.
And if I was at C2E2, if I knew what I knew about that book, I would have tried to get a few of them too. I wouldn't have got 100. I wouldn't have got 7. I wouldn't even got 10, because You know, I probably got 2 and made my money and been happy with it. But
who had bought 100 of those books? And I said, just come home and tell you why. But listen, we're eating peanut butter and jelly for the next 3 months. But until I sell these books, just because it's going to be tight for a little while. I mean, but if I sell these books for what I think I can, we'll be eating good. But you know,
until the tax bill comes.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that I mean, it's just a really weird and really, I mean, I don't know. I mean, those type of things, it's just so out of the ordinary to me, and I think that, you know, just do what you've always done. Like, I mean, and some people might say, well, that's even shadier having it done behind the scenes. Yes, but if it's done behind the scenes, no one's going to complain just because it's like, okay, we have this many, and just do it. Like even behind the scenes, you just limit it. Okay, look, the most you can get is 50. Okay, fine. You get a bunch of us collectors, we get 50. Then we have 200 or whatever it is for the regular public. No one's going to complain because everyone's like, I was in line. I was just one of the lucky 200. I got my golden ticket.
So,
okay.
I mean, even hot exclusives that sell online. Say there's a 750 count print run, same as this book was supposedly. Those are sold in like 2 minutes on an online retailer. Do you think that was all just from people buying 2 copies? Which is what most stores limit their online exclusives to? No. They sold 150 of those books to somebody else before that even went live. It's business, guys. This is like I said on the earlier show, we are talking in terms of money. Not guaranteed money. Yeah, we are talking in terms of money that none of us will probably ever comprehend. This is world-changing money when you're talking about the billions of dollars that Whatnot is worth and the multi-billions of dollars that Marvel is worth as part of Disney.
Yeah,
this is money that is nothing to them. They don't care. They really do not care.
And I think that probably
this is just about a bunch of people who have a hobby. Some of who prefer to make money off of it. Some of whom prefer to use it to make money to fund other books that they want to buy. But for whatever reason, there's very few pure collectors out there at this point.
Even pure collectors got to buy it from somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. You're not getting your Hulk 181 off of the newsstand anymore. I'm sorry.
Somebody said that earlier. The secondary market is what drives the comic industry. It's not every Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the secondary market that keeps people on the edge of their seats when it comes to comic books.
Yeah, and you know what else it is? It's also, and like you said, like this comic book stuff, even going into the movie side, comic book collectors are very minute to things, and that's what I kind of try to tell people who complain about MCU Marvel movies and stuff. It's like I was like, dude, they're using properties that we love for everybody else.
Yeah,
I said they didn't make Thor: Love and Thunder for the comic book community. They made that for everybody. They made that for your wife to go see the movie with you. They made that for your mom to go see. They made that for everybody else, not you. And we have to stop thinking full of ourselves that it needs to stay true. This is not my Marvel. DC, blah blah, not my DC. Blah blah blah. He's like, oh, Magneto can't be black. He's white in the comics. He like they're not made for you. These movies are made for the world. And
it's funny you bring that up because I have some friends of mine, a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids. They went and saw Love and Thunder last night, and I was super curious because they're not comic book people at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was super curious to see what they were going to say when they came back, and they were like, "We loved it. We thought it was great." And I'm like, "I can see that. It makes and that's who they're trying to. They're not making $1 billion off of us going to the movies. They're making $1 billion off of, every little family that goes to see.
I took my wife to go see it because I like I don't. All my friends are like you guys all over the world, so it's like, hey, it can't be like, hey, no, let's go see this movie. Like I saw go take my wife. She's good enough to come with me. She entertains me enough to come with me, and she enjoyed that. She enjoyed it. She liked it.
Yeah.
And that's
So
the people who are made for. The people who have no idea what Marvel is, no idea who Thor, Jane Foster, and this. Those are made for those people. Just like these comics, these gimmicks are not really made for the pure. It's made for everybody else.
Exactly.
And guess what? We're adding fuel to the fire just talking about it because they're like, ooh.
Yeah, it's we are the 300. You know, we are the 300 holding off the throngs of speculators and in and out buyers and people just getting into it and all of that kind of stuff. And because of that, because we've invested so much of our time, our lives, our energy, our money into this, we feel like we should have a more important role. But we don't.
Yeah.
No.
The only role we have is how much we're willing to spend on the secondary market for a book. That's it.
Yep.
And that's exactly that doesn't do anything money wise for anybody other than the seller.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I was saying. Like when I made my video earlier, I said, I've been doing this for a long time. My channel ain't the biggest, and I know that. And I, my channel should be bigger than what it is. But it's all right though, because I understand why my channel's not that big and grand and everything. Just because I have a life and I have to step away from this stuff from time to time, and that's that's reality. That's fine. But the thing is, I was like, but I do have an opinion on this, and I'm going to say it. And so I gave my opinion. And I said what it was, and that's why I said like maybe I came into it with my initial feelings on it, and then I said just reevaluate what you maybe redefine what you consider to be important to be an exclusive for you. But I do think too, when it comes down to it, everybody can say what they want to say. Everybody can look at how they want to look at it. But you're right. We kind of have this opinion that we're bigger than that because we've done this a long time, because we know a lot of the stories that our opinion should carry weight. And no, just because, to be honest with you, okay. Like I'm sure if we went to Marvel and said, hey man, I've been watching all your stuff, I've collected all this, they'd be like, great. Like we're glad to have you as a fan, but it's the same thing with like Star Wars crowd. Like we don't care about you that's been seeing these movies since the 70s. We care about your kids and your grandkids. Like get them into get them into it, because that's who's gonna make it money forever.
And that's how I was touching on the movie side, because this kind of goes hand in hand, because people so I hate to say it, full of themselves, they think they know best, and people hated Thor. Like they got people I know, and some of us were real cool with. They hated Thor.
I didn't like it.
But I always try to tell people, was it worse than X, Y, and Z? Because Marvel's made some bad movies beforehand. Way bad movies beforehand. Thor 2 to mine, which is in that same realm. So a lot of them forgot about those movies, and they'll say, no, this is the worst Thor movie, and I'm like, I said, man, you need to rewatch some things. This is not the worst one. And it doesn't matter what you think, it doesn't matter what I think, it doesn't matter, it's the dollar sign. Because and at the end of the day, Thor, especially this, I use that as the most recent one, Thor just broke Ragnarok for the most domestic made in box office. It's a Thor movie.
Exactly.
So just because you don't like it and you think, guess what? The dollar signs don't equal up. I'm sorry.
So coming off of Ragnarok, can you imagine if they would have made the decision to do the Gore storyline as it was written, the sort of dark, god-killing, heavily philosophical storyline that people fell in love with because they read it?
Yeah, it would have made sense.
If anyone that went and saw Ragnarok then went and saw a Love and Thunder that was even remotely close to how brutal the Jason Aaron run was, they would have run out of that theater. It would have been the worst movie that they had ever seen. And again, it's what I said, it's what Hudat said. Sometimes we have to step back from ourselves and realize that our love for this is not what drives the industry. It's just not.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to step back and realize and appreciate the things that we're getting, that you probably never would have thought you would have gotten 20 years ago.
Oh God, yeah.
You know,
I mean,
like sometimes you just got.
Every single Marvel movie I have ever seen, at some point during that movie, I get goosebumps. There's at least one scene in there that reminds me of why I started reading comic books and why comic books affected me for so long. No matter how bad the movie is, there's always something in there that I'm just like, oh man, to see that up on the screen, that's just like I pictured it in my head 30 years ago or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. And I think
Yeah.
too.
You're right about that. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, because if you look back, all right, I was born in the early '80s, so it's just like I've seen. I mean, literally, like I remember what comic book movies used to be, yeah, and they weren't even freaking movies; they were just made for TV events. And man, you go back and watch the Captain America movie that came out in like the late '80s, maybe like '89. It is fucking horrible. But you know what happened? At the time when I was little, I was like, this is America, you know what I mean? Because everyone thought it was great. The old Flash movie back in the day with Dawson's dad as the Flash. Like, you know, Dawson's dad from Dawson's Creek as the Flash. Like, everyone was like, oh, man, look how great this was. Like, people, like, loved that stuff just because it was the first time seeing it. And then, you know, you keep evolving and going forward. It's just like, you know, to see what we have now versus then is pretty crazy. And I mean, the thing too that everybody has to kind of remember, where they're, you know, upset with, you know, whether they was upset with Love and Thunder, is like, just like kind of picking back on what you said, had they gone ahead and made it right after Ragnarok, yes, it would have been amazing. But how many times, you can't have that same story again, just because he just went from being all depressed and upset in Endgame and like let himself fall to pieces, right? And then this is supposed to be him getting his purpose back and, you know, coming back to being something that, you know, resembles being a hero. If you're going to go back and just sit there and like, no, we're going to take you right back to shit again, and then, you know, hope that, you know, you get there from being angry, like it wouldn't work. And that's, I think, what a lot of people don't quite get about it, is that they kind of had to give him a new purpose just because he's done the hero and the avenging and everything like that. And on top of that too, it's just like, you be thankful for having him as long as he's had, because this this 9th or 10th time playing Thor.
It's a he's been doing it a long time. And you know what happened? People get spoiled.
Oh yeah.
So you know why people want. Well, a lot of people don't like this Thor because they want the Thor that was in the last with like 10 minutes of Infinity. Was it Infinity or Endgame? When he was like really like dark and he's like, I went for the head. That's the Thor. Yeah. Thor they want. And we got that for like 10 minutes. Yeah, just like when people see Marvel movies now, everybody wants to be in game level.
Yeah, and it's gonna take time.
As soon as after I finished watching Endgame, I said people are gonna be spoiled now.
Oh yeah.
They said they're gonna want this type of movie every time. I even had somebody that me and Chris know that said, "Man, but they had a 10-year event, and they haven't done that in the last 2 years." I said, "Did you hear what you just said?"
Yeah, you need 8 more years, man. So you think Galactus is coming on screen right away? Come on, dude.
I was thinking about this earlier today. Everyone forgets Marvel Phase 1.
Yeah,
because it was kidding.
It wasn't that
for the most part, there were a couple good movies in there, but for the most part, people forget about the Hulk and they forget about some of the shittier movies that they had to use to build up to where they're at, and that's where we're at again. Right now, they're trying to introduce a bunch of characters. They're trying to pay off storylines from some of these older characters that are probably going to be getting phased out. You know, this is just a transition period as far as the MCU goes. So, you know, when the next phase starts up, we'll start seeing more of like the cohesive storylines and that sort of thing.
I agree with that.
It's fun. It's because we really look back at those movies. Iron Man, for what it is, was good. But but I can nitpick stuff out of it and prove that movie was terrible. Iron Man 2 was trash, which somebody already just typed in the chat. Thank you,
because they had a weak villain.
They had a good actor, just a weak villain. They portrayed the villain wrong.
Well, and that's hold on, because that's a Marvel point right there. They do that a lot. Great actors, great villains, shitty parts.
Yeah.
I mean, all you got to do is look at Gore. Gore was done so dirty in this movie. I mean, he's almost a joke, literally. It's
Yeah.
and to get Christian Bale to play that guy.
Because you know why they took 2 hours of the movie away, so we don't even know. Like, we don't even know the full story. Like, and we're probably never going to see the full movie. But they basically made Christian Bale into almost a pedophile because he kidnapped children.
Yep.
Yeah.
He kidnapped children to kill God.
Yeah, Sid, I agree. Like I said, every movie there's at least been a couple of things in there that made me really glad I got to see it.
Yeah, I like even Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is so trash. But guess what scene that kind of got me? As soon as he got the briefcase and he put it on, that part got me in that movie. The rest of the movie, I was like, whatever. But I can watch that movie, and once I get to that part, I don't have to watch it anymore. But that part was awesome to me. Like, just to him, because it reminds me almost like a nuclear football. And, you know, he has to. That part gets to me.
And 2 at the racetrack?
Yeah, at the racetrack.
Yeah. I mean, the people forget on that movie, the whole aim of that movie was to introduce Black Widow. That literally is the biggest, like that's what they wanted to do, because it was like, all right, Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, and you see her and she's, you know, just dressed, and then all of a sudden she's an actual spy and she's actually Black Widow. That was the whole aim of that movie, was to just bring her in. And then it was just like, you know, I mean, Iron Man 3 wasn't all that great either. Iron Man 3 had a bunch of stuff that was just ridiculous. And then, but it was like, where they made the big mistake in the beginning was, where they made, I mean, because initially Ben Kingsley as Mandarin, before you find out that, no, he's just an actor. He's just some dude that's just like, you know, Trevor Slattery, and he's just kind of chilling, doing it. Like, the videos he was making with the threats and everything, like that was cool. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I can't wait to see him do something. And then you find out later on it's Guy Pearce who's the Mandarin, and he's got that, you know, he's basically a living bomb and everything. It's like, oh, that's stupid, but whatever. The extremist thing is just like, you know, like it was just a means to an end to get you to the next spot. And you know, not everything is just like a great movie. I think one of the only series that was pretty much consistently good the whole way through was Captain America. They like the Captain America movies were solid all the way. Like they were usually pretty much great movies.
And the only one you can really talk about not being good is the first one.
Yeah, and the first one was long.
Yeah, it was
felt very long.
Yeah, and then that's basically like a time period movie. And, you know, like if you're not into, or if you were tired of World War II stuff, like I was at that, because we had so much World War II stuff that I was like, I don't want to see another World War II movie. Like, and that's basically what it was. But I know it was an introducing stepping stone, and it wasn't the greatest. But no, at least it was a stepping point. Just like Thor 1. Thor 1 is actually underrated in my opinion too. Yeah. Thor 1 is not as bad as people would place it. And I would actually place Ragnarok number 1, Thor 1 number 2, and then Thor Love and Thunder and Thor 2. That's how I would place those 4 movies. Because Thor 1 wasn't that bad. It was a great starting off point. Like, and a lot of those movies don't have great starting off points. They really don't.
I know. I would say that. Like, I mean, I've enjoyed just about every Marvel movie. Like, there's not one that I'm like, oh, this is a mistake. Actually, the movie that I thought was gonna end up, there's 2 movies that I thought initially were gonna be like, okay, this might be where they flop. Was the first Guardians, because I was just like, I really don't know what to expect with this, and it was great. And then Ant-Man, I was like, all right, this might be where they kind of, you know, lose their way. And no, the first Ant-Man was good. And it's just like, you know, the second one they stumbled a little bit, but you know, it wasn't the worst.
That was a stepping stone because they wanted to introduce Wasp.
So, exactly. It's funny because like I'll still say at this point, and I know people love Infinity War and Endgame. I do too. I think that those are amazing movies. But nothing, and I'll tell you right now, nothing captures, at least for me, nothing was as big of an actual game changer than me seeing the actual Avengers movie. That, because I went on opening night, and it was just that good at that point in time. It was just like, because to that point you hadn't seen anything that was that well done come out of Marvel yet, and so for that, like that I think captured so many people and brought everybody in. It's just like, oh, this is. I remember telling people, they were just like, how was it? Was it good? I was like, wherever your expectations are, they're not high enough. Like you need to go like once you see it, you'll go 3-4 levels higher just because that's how good of a movie it was, because of the fact that it was just that big of a thing. And even, you know,
I think that's what hurt the number 2, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. That because Avengers 1 was so good.
Yeah,
When they kind of took a step back, which actually Age of Ultron is actually pretty good.
it's not bad. Like, every the other day, I watched the whole thing, and I was like, this is a good movie.
Like I always, yeah, you can always judge a movie if you see it on or you're watching it. If you could watch it again, that movie was actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, like the movie was great just because of the whole, all the scenes with Vision, like when Vision first comes around and everything like that, like it's so cool, especially when he sits there and he's like, we don't have time to argue about this, and he picks up Thor's hammer and gives it to him. I'm just like, dude, that's fucking awesome. Like that was cool, and it's just like, that's an iconic thing right there, and it's just like, it was a good movie. It was well done, and I mean, I really do think that right now, like we've also, like, it's in a transition. They're moving on to, they're ramping up to give you more of what you want to see.
They're giving a lot of information. This last phase was the information phase,
and people want too much payoff right away, and it's like, you're not going to get
action. They want action with no information. That's what I hate to say. That's the society we live in. We want action with no information.
Because it's like, I mean, just thinking about Doctor Strange, and people were like mad that there wasn't more stuff, and it's like, dude, it's like they're giving you a stepping stone and a building block for the next piece, and they're kind of trying to close up certain stuff, but then open up other things. And then was it the Spider-Man, when everyone's like, oh, like, well, it was cool because we had all this, and it's just like, yeah, but you have to look at it like, where are they trying to go, like what's next coming out? So like, it's just like, there's so many things that like people are hoping to see that they're just not giving themselves, like they don't want to give Marvel enough time to bring it to you. And I mean, they know what they're doing. Like they have lots of money invested in these movies, and they're hoping to make a lot more coming back. So trust me, like they're gonna do what they got to do right. And I just think that people have to be patient. And if you like these movies, if you really do, that's fine. And like we were saying before, like us being the comic people and loving these things, yes, that's great. And we can put all the money we want into these. But if the mainstream doesn't like them, if the mainstream decides that they want romantic comedies again, guess what? There's gonna be a whole bunch of Sandra Bullock movies coming and everything, and that's just gonna be the next big thing. And then these comic movies are gonna take a seat back. It's what will happen. It's that there's nothing you can do really about that. It's just, I mean, it's great that everybody's kind of tied into this stuff, and that everybody wants to still see these type of movies. That's great. Like, ride that wave as long as it lasts, because it will go away eventually. And hopefully it goes away in enough time that we get to get fully through phase 6 or whatever the hell they're gonna do, and we'll be okay to say, okay, at least we made it this long. Just because to have a 20 or 25-year run where like these movies are the best movies you're gonna see in the theaters, and these are the ones that are putting the most money into, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and the same thing goes for DC, because it's a lot. I actually enjoyed a lot of DC stuff. I didn't enjoy certain ones that other people enjoyed more.
There's a lot of,
I mean,
but
like,
I'm not saying they're all bad.
Batman.
Yeah, I was gonna actually say Batman, but the Batman,
it was long.
The Batman I enjoyed because I enjoyed movies, and I thought it was that on that frame. But it was the Batman should have been called the Penguin / Catwoman, because that's what that movie was really trying to draw out. I had little nitpicks in it that I couldn't get out of my head, and I still can't get it out of my head. I couldn't get rid of the emo Batman. I couldn't get rid of the emo Batman in my head. And I mean, I don't read everything. I don't remember emo Batman. Anybody ever talking about emo Batman? I remember Dick Grayson, Nightwing, going through a phase like that. But that one kind of took me out of it. Every time I saw the movie, it took me out. Like every time I saw scenes, it took me out of it when he wasn't Batman. Because when he wasn't Batman, he had the long hair and he was very frail. And then he put the costume on, look, the hair disappeared, and then he's all tough. And it's like, dude, you're like 150 pounds.
He was by far the worst Bruce Wayne.
Oh yes,
by far the worst Bruce Wayne aspect of that character. He was terrible.
Yeah, and that and to me that has to be as strong or stronger than being Batman.
Yeah. And that movie could have been 2 parts. It was so long. Like it was so long and drawn out that by the time they got to the point where it was just like, like honestly, about halfway through, I was like, okay, they can stop. Literally, they could stop this movie right here and start up again, just because like he hasn't solved any. Like, and I understand, like, oh, he's building this case, he's trying to get, he's investigating it, but it's like you got to pick up the pace a little bit, just because you haven't solved the first group of crimes yet. Like you're still kind of piecing things together. Like and so by the time it was over, I was like, I had felt like I literally was like, wow, it's been like almost 3 hours now. Like I felt like I was there for all that time, just because it was so slowly building.
That's one movie. It felt like 3 hours compared to watching Endgame. It didn't feel like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I could have sat and watched maybe another hour of Endgame. Compared to Batman, I was ready to go.
I watched that movie and I felt like I was watching a worse version of Seven.
Yeah,
far worse version of Seven.
Yes, I can agree with that. Just because there was so much, like it took so long, and then actually that's a great comparison, because they had the twist at the end, and then oh, this is, you know what I mean, and it's just like, but it took so long to get there, and then on top of that too, at the end of it, when they blow up and then the sea starts coming in, I'm like, I said that, I was like, what the hell is Batman gonna do about this? Is a Justice League problem. This is not a Batman problem. What if he's flooded? Like, what is he gonna do about that? I was like, this is way beyond him.
Couldn't do it. He needed Aquaman or something. He needed somebody.
Like, this is a Justice League problem. Like, what the like what just happened? I was just
I have to say to the guys watching, we dare say that, because if we could talk about Thor: Love and Thunder, we have to be able to talk about stuff like the Batman, which people think was great. Which, when you break it down, and then somebody said something to me maybe yesterday or the day before. Now, and I can't get it out of my head. They said, I hope the next villain doesn't remind me of Bill Gates. And I was like, now I think of the Riddler as Bill Gates. I was just like, wow, that, like, I'm already having these other issues with the movie, but when they told me the Bill Gates thing, I was like, because they were like, I hope I don't get Mr. Freeze's, like Steve Jobs, Mr. Freeze. I was like, that's messed up.
He does have a turtleneck.
Yeah, the only other DC movies I had like serious problems with was, like, I hated the first Suicide Squad. That pissed me off, actually. When I was watching, like, watching that, the beginning is awesome. No, the beginning of Suicide Squad was great, and then once they kind of got the team together, and then they started just doing different stuff, I'm like, okay. And then, like, they had that fake, they had the helicopter crash, and Amanda Waller's like, oh. I'm like, well, 15 minutes into the movie, like, what the hell are you scared of? No one's gonna die yet. And then, they're fighting those deranged, like, soldiers and stuff, like the mutated ones. And Rick Flag and his boys are sitting there shooting, like, M16s at him, and they're just walking through bullets. Here's little 120-pound Harley Quinn with a bat just taking them out one by. I mean, just they're dropping, like, I mean, how the fuck is this girl hitting them with a bat? They're going down, but this guy has a high-powered rifle, and they're walking through it. Like, everything, like it just kind of kept declining from that point, and it just got worse and worse and worse. I'm like, this movie's terrible.
And what it boiled down to be like, and some people don't like the path, don't like Marvel at the point, because they're trying to lay out roadways and lead you to a path. Mm-hmm. But DC is shooting like a shotgun bird shot, and it's going everywhere. And like, oh man, the Joker was good, but what was the point of the Joker? Like, what was like? They didn't go deeper into mental illness like it probably could have done, and that would have been the point of that movie. But what was the point of that movie? Like, you have Joker, no Batman. They're gonna do Penguin series, and what I'm hearing, I don't hear about any Batman being in the Penguin series. It's just weird to me, It's like the same. It's gonna be the complaints that people make about Marvel stuff. You're like, man, you got this going on. Well, where's Iron Man?
You know what show was great was what's it called? Peacemaker was great. I like Peacemaker,
Awesome.
and actually I've been watching Sandman. Sandman's been really good too. I like how they're doing that. I mean, I just think that really, I think if they get away from a lot of the mainstream, like get away from the DC Trinity, let some other things kind of breathe and build it out. You'll have you'll get some more interesting.
When they let the creatives, which I like to call the directors that can actually do what they want to do. When they let the creatives do more what they want to do in DC or Marvel, that movie always ends up better.
Yeah.
Look at Guardians of the Galaxy, like you said. Look at Peacemaker with James. Look at the second Suicide Squad with James Gunn. What else I could say? Look at what the first Iron Man was. What's his name?
Jon Favreau.
You know what I mean? You got those creatives really put their hands on it. They come out so much better. Look at Taika Waititi when he did with the first one with Thor Ragnarok. They let him do what he wanted to do with Thor Ragnarok, and then in the second one, he had to follow a narrative, and he had to cut out half of the movie.
Yeah,
we don't want to talk about that. We just say, "Oh, it's a bad movie," but we don't talk about what Marvel kind of made him do. You know,
Ragnarok, the Grandmaster alone was amazing. Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster was hilarious throughout that whole movie. But
I agree with you on Sid on that. They don't have to connect for us.
No,
but the movies are not about us. When you take somebody who has no idea, no Batman, and like they just saw a movie and said Ben Affleck is Batman. Now they're going to see Batman, and he's like, "Who's this guy?" And they're like, "Wait, what's going on?" That's what my wife didn't know what the hell was going on.
Oh yeah,
and that's what both of the sides, Marvel and DC, have to figure out is like, hey, these movies are not made for the 1%. They're made for everybody else.
Yeah.
What's up? Look, Big Dave. He says, I really enjoyed the Joker movie. And I didn't say that movie wasn't good. I just said, what was the point of that? Besides giving Joaquin Phoenix the Joker role like they wanted to give him in the first show.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. It was different. And it was just like, it was strange in the fact that they made him an anti-hero kind of thing, where people celebrated him being crazy, which I guess you can kind of look at it where it's like, well, he's the everyman and he's got the problems, and people are just identifying with him and want to rage against everything that's going on. But it's still like, it was just like he the end of that movie where he's at that Murray show, and like he did horrible things on that show, which is like, no. Nobody should be. People should be calling the cops. Like, we need to get rid of it. Like, this is horrible what he just did. It shouldn't be like, oh, like we're just gonna go ahead and celebrate. This guy who just blew some dude's head off in the middle of the TV show.
Yeah, but a lot of that is you. That's unlike almost any other comic book movie in the sense that it didn't care about the comic stories at all.
Yeah,
like Hudat said earlier, and it probably could have done it more. It was really more of an exercise in mental health, and as well as the very, very thin line that separates a civilized society from a society that is batshit crazy. So, yeah, that, and like Sid's saying, maybe some of these movies need to be independent of each other. They don't all need to be all tied in.
I think that's a great idea.
They don't have to be, but like when Chris said earlier, when you have a certain situation happening, you're like, Batman can't handle this. Stop it.
Yeah,
Gotham is flooding.
That's not the exception with that situation. Like, that's just crazy talk. I mean, if Batman, it's like, well, how's he gonna say he can't solve a flood? Like he's like Batman's jurisdiction's over with. But when you have, but to go in, if you make movies that just deal with stuff that he can handle, that like the whole Dark Knight series and stuff like that, like that was cool. Like they did a really good job with that. Even if you go back to the 90s Batman movies, like I wasn't a big fan of the second one, but the first Batman movie was great. Like the Michael Keaton, the first one was amazing, and it's just like
a lot of those situations, you're like, all right, it's not too far fetched. It makes makes sense in a way that Batman can handle it,
Yeah.
Hey, going backwards for a sec. Chris talked about it a second ago. I don't know how many people are watching. Probably not many. But if you haven't watched Sandman, even if you're not a fan of the comic book, guys, it is absolutely one of the best made shows. Period. And if you like kind of gothic horror, it's not a fast paced show. So I mean, it's never gonna like completely like really get you fired up. But if you like kind of, like I said, gothic horror stories and high fantasy sort of stuff, man, that show is off the charts good. And I say that as someone who regards the Sandman comic series, especially the first 10 issues, as the ultimate in what comic books can accomplish. That was the first time in my life that I thought a comic book could do more than be a superhero story, that I thought it could be literature, that I thought it could really advance the world. And I'll be goddamned if they didn't turn that into the best version that could probably exist on screen. It is.
I've never read Sandman ever, so I'm coming into this completely blind. I just know, like, I know what the character looks like, because I've seen people with the Sandman shirts and stuff like that. So I know a little bit, like I know a little bit about like who, like the names of certain characters. Like I know Dream is Morpheus, and I know that Death is in it and stuff like that. But I didn't know, like I really don't know about anything. So I'm finding a lot of this stuff for the very first time, and it's just like it's really really cool. And I'll say, I don't know if it's episode 4 or 5. Where he actually like where he kind of has to he meets with Lucifer, but that episode was awesome. And I was like, that's really cool. And just in general, I think that it's a good show because of the fact that it's so different. It's different and it's building to a lot of things, because like now that I've seen the stuff that I've seen to this point, like I want to see more. Like I want to see like the other people that, like, his siblings and stuff like that. Like I want to see those people. I want to see like more of what this world has to give. And I started, going on Wikipedia and looking up, because I was like, Sandman. I was like, I know that there's a Golden Age Sandman, and looking at, and I was trying to make connections. Like, okay, is he gonna, like, are they gonna put his like Golden Age counterpart in it? Like, is Morpheus gonna show up as a Golden Age, like maybe an alter ego, like his Golden Age or whatever like that? So I was just kind of looking at everything and trying to figure out what's happening there. So and I know that it looks like it's just sticking right with the is it the Neil Gaiman story?
Yeah,
it looks like it's sticking more with that. But I mean, it's got my interest though.
It is almost literally each episode is an issue. Like 1 through 10 is almost literally issues 1 through 10 in order. And
oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
because I'll definitely go back and reread it. Like I'll find it online or something. Or I think I have a trade of it, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and check that out.
You may not have got there yet, but there is actually sort of an homage / version of the Golden Age Sandman in the series.
See, I'm looking to see like what else. I like when they do stuff like that, just because, like, for me, it's just like I'm just discovering this for the first time. Same thing with I binged. I want to say like 2 weeks ago, I binge watched the what's it called, Umbrella Academy. I had never read or looked at that, and I was like, it was a really
that's a good overall good series. Like,
yeah, it was great. Like, I really like season 1. Season 1 and 2 are awesome. 3 was pretty good too. Like 3 was very good.
Resident Evil, yeah, and it's only 8 episodes, I think. That series is really good, really good.
I haven't been able to get. I don't know. I haven't been able to get past episode 2.
You gotta get past
it. I like it.
I like they did the going back in time and going into present time really well. And when I'm watching it, and like you got to get like to episode 3 or 4. It doesn't say to pick us up, but I just start liking it more and more. I liked it. I wanted to watch it because I like Resident Evil, the video game, when I was a kid. So I was like, all right, let me watch it. And then, like I said, before you know it, I'm like watching the whole thing. And then when I get to like because I definitely wanted to see the episode where they were talking about, they have a line in the episode. The girl says, she says something about being like peed on, and she goes, yeah, I was peed on when I was in college. It was like what? but like your first mindset of thinking of that, you thinking of how you were just thinking. But who knows if she was stung by a jellyfish? Or, you know what I mean? So it's just when that line came out, I was like, I gotta watch this. Real first off, when I heard about it, so I gotta watch it just for that line, and then I just got hooked on it. But I mean, I like this show. I like the Umbrella Academy. I watched the first 2 seasons of The Boy. Well, I actually watched the first season.
I watched The Boys. The Boys. I'll say this much.
I couldn't get too deep into it. I don't know. It's not for me. I don't know.
Season 3 is the weakest. Season 3 was the weakest of it, and it was like seasons 1 and 2 were really good. Season 3, it wasn't bad. It's just it's like anything else. It's like everything else was really good, and then this one was it wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as the other two. So, but I mean, I watched that, and then I'm trying to think. Let's see. I think I'm caught up on pretty much. Oh, I watched was it Miss Marvel? So I'm caught up with that and everything, and I'm just I'm just really excited to kind of continue on with Sandman, just because it's so different, and I'm like, oh, this is really really cool. And then actually with watching that, because Constantine was on Sci-Fi, I want to say maybe a month ago. Damn it, that movie needs a reboot. It needs something, just because like that movie. I'll say this much: it may not have been the greatest and most faithful rendition of a representation of Constantine, but it wasn't it wasn't that bad, and it's not forgettable. It has a lot of good elements to it, and I think now if you do it, if they were to do it now and really just push the horror element or the occult part of things, it would be a really really good movie. It would be a great series. If they get the Sandman people to do that, I see nothing but great things coming from that.
That's always been an underrated movie. I mean,
yeah,
I
know some people are like, Keanu Reeves, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's an American and he's not the English guy. Dude, I'm telling you, it was good. It was actually really cool how they did a lot of the effects.
It took me like a year or two to watch the first season, because I watched episode 1 and I was just like, yeah, this is not for me. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't know about season 3. Definitely finish watching season 1. You'll definitely enjoy season 1, because I was just like, after I watched the first episode, I was like, nah, I'm good. And I just never watched it again.
Dude, I'm right there with you, dude. She was a great and Sandman also solves this question, by the way. It is not Constantine, it is Constantine. For those of us that have ever wondered. But yeah, she was great. She is absolutely incredible. And I'm not saying that just because I have 12 copies of her first appearance.
And I have to say this: if you want to watch, if in the next couple weeks, and then in the next month, they're gonna have so much TV shows. They're gonna be at one point. I don't know. I don't think it's be this month, but I think it'll be next month, the beginning of next month. But there's gonna be a time where in that week you'll have Andor, She-Hulk.
Yep.
Is it the Lord of the Rings show?
Yes. Yep.
And is it Game of Thrones show? I'm thinking about.
Yes, Game of Thrones, August 21st.
Yeah, so you'll have all 4 of those shows in one week, which is, I can tell you right now, something's not gonna get watched with me. So it's like something is going other people gonna be like, oh man, I'm watching it. You watching that? Be like, no, I'm watching She-Hulk, Andor, and most likely Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
that's probably be my 3, because I never watched the regular Game of Thrones.
The regular Game of Thrones, they started. They did they've been marathoning it and showing. I started watching it again just because it's like I loved it in the beginning, and it's just like it's tough to watch just because you can start to see the decline as the seasons go by, and then later on, it just the way they ended it was just stupid. But
well, Sid, we brought this up in Sands' thing. I think you might have been. Yeah, I think you were there, and I think somebody's planning on doing this, and we can kind of just have that open discussion, and probably people like you would be invited, and so it's just just being open, almost like an open forum and just talking and like and you notice how we started on the UF4 stuff, and then we went to movies, and then now we're on TV.
Yeah. Well, like, the thing I was gonna say, the thing I said in my video, and the thing that I said, like, you're gonna hear about that all week. So it's just like I said my piece in my video, and I said my piece now, and like I'm completely done with that whole thing now.
I'll say it's just a reprint.
No.
I love it.
But now it's just like, I mean, there's better things, like, and that's the thing too. There's better things that are on the horizon. So don't worry about that whole situation. It's gonna do its own thing, and you know the life for that situation is gonna fade away soon enough. But
she must be Australian or New Zealand.
The thing with the UF4 thing is, like it or not, this is always going to be a part of comic books. There's going to be fuckery.
Yeah,
always.
It's always been there. It's just sometimes it gets a little more obvious than others. And again, the problem here was that Black Flag just completely said the part out loud that you're not supposed to say out loud. That's
pretty much.
It's like, hey, they give away free TVs over here. It's like, oh. Oh my
God. Get on the street first. No, I mean, there ain't no free TVs here.
Oh, it all boils down, and like I said, the road goes back to Black Flag. So it is what it is. But like you said, there's always going to be something. People can get outraged, like the CGC price hike that happened twice. The rainbow jizz on the slabs, all kind of different stuff. You know, people get.
I remember that was a few years ago that people was just so cool.
Yeah.
What are all these rings? What is all this? Yeah, I remember that.
All kind of stuff that just, you know, it just how they handled it and how it happened could have all been avoided.
Well, and then they handled it terribly from the get-go. And then now you've got people backpedaling and being defensive and making crappy videos, calling out other people whose name never even got brought up. You know, and at this point, it's a bunch of people that have no idea how to just step up and go, yeah, look, maybe this wasn't the right thing to do. We fucked this. We're sorry.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
And that I think really would. I think that would have helped everything. Just because I saw some videos and some of them were just so disingenuous. It's like, dude, seriously, like, where you coming from with this? And I I'm not saying I don't agree with some of the stuff that you're saying, but it's the way you're saying it, where it's like, and who the fuck cares if we did it? And that's between this person and that thing. And it's just like, dude, don't do that. Because it's almost like sitting there saying like, so this isn't what happened, but if it did happen, is it really that bad because it was, these people that did it? And even if it was, there's a group of haters that are mad about it anyway, so don't worry about them. I mean, it's just that little group of people that, get upset about things. And, it's not that bad anyway, just because, it was these group of people and it's cool. It's like, no. And then it's like, and who are they to have an opinion anyway that they can hate on this? Because, I mean, it's just those. It's like, no. Just if you come on and say, like, yeah, this is what happened, it went down, and yeah, it's not the greatest thing, but this is the business, this is what we do, and this is how it is. So I understand when people are upset. It's the way, like, I mean, you shouldn't be trying to like twist yourself in pretzels to spin this and be like, wow, I mean, did they really even do anything wrong? Because really, I mean, it's not necessarily wrong just because these guys over here think it is. But who is it? Like, what does their opinion matter? Because they're just those guys. These guys were cool, and like, so that part of things I felt was kind of disingenuous and just kind of it was a bad faith way of saying that, like, yeah, this happened and you guys should be happy that it happened just because what's the problem? Like that I think is kind of what they're looking at.
They did the Ghost Rider cover. That's what Rit Ty sent me.
Well,
yeah.
Rit, the thing is, and we talked about this a little while ago. I don't think you were in here yet. People seem to think that those got graded like overnight. Those didn't get graded overnight. Those have been graded for, I don't know, at least a couple of weeks at this point.
Well,
I thought it was
so Black Flag knew what they had. They knew they had a book that could grade 9 9s and 10s. And look, again, no proof of this, but this is like, it's business. They called up all these people and said, look, we've got this book. This is what we've done to it. We've graded it. We've already got 9 9s and 10s out of it. And the next thing you know, they got people buying 100 copies of it.
All right, that's the major thing I want to show about. Look at that. In 9.8, they have 6 of them in higher grade 4.
Wow.
This is the Ghostwriter one. I think they're going to be doing at Boston.
Yeah.
So yeah, they already got graded, but these were graded in July. Yeah, these were graded.
At least that's something like at least that's transparent enough though. It's like, yeah, these are graded in July. Don't get mad at us and say, because that's what happens is that, like, because everything happened so quickly, it made people just jump to conclusions, myself included. I won't lie and say that I didn't jump to any conclusions, but it made people jump to conclusions right away and say, like, how is this possible? How did this not happen? You know what I mean? So it's something where it's just like, if you have transparency, even if it is shady, if you have transparency about it, at least people can say, okay, well, this is, we can't get mad at that. You graded it in July. That's whatever. I'm not upset at that. It's their business to do with what they want. And if they did it pre-sale, I have no problem with that. Like, you can't get mad at that.
Sid and Ritai, you're exactly right. They shouldn't be. It's obvious they shouldn't be. There's 4 staples in the goddamn book. Absolutely. I mean, this is nobody else could get away with this at any point, and just staple another cover on a book and have it be a new exclusive. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
I couldn't get them to grade. I had a double cover that Venom 2 Clayton Crane that oh man, I can't think of the company that did it with the dog as their mascot. But Frankie Comic. Not all of those had the double cover. CGC wouldn't notate and say this one had a double cover because they said some of them were printed just because of some of them were printed with a double cover. They said they wouldn't do it, and I was like, well, they all weren't. That book wasn't meant to be printed with a double cover,
right?
Yeah, and they wouldn't give me the double cover 9.8.
I remember when you got that, because that was like a thing. Apparently, they had like a small stack of them that were all double covered when they were.
Yeah, by mistake. Yeah, they had a small. Frankie's had a small stack of them that were double covers by mistake, and they didn't sell any of them.
That was in the good old days of first edition.
And I got mad about that. How could you?
So
just from now on, you got to keep the quiet part quiet. Don't say the quiet part out loud. Just stick to what works. Execute the way you're supposed to. That's all. And then you won't have this type. Oh, I won't say that you won't have this type of stuff, but like at least there's not people that can say like I have proof that there's some shady shit happening. That's where you have the problem.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that went into this. There's, like I said, there's definitive fuckery, even if you can't find the chain that shows you exactly what's going on. It's obvious. And if it didn't happen this way, then it's the most unbelievable set of circumstances that's ever happened. As far as
a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes, and a lot of people shouldn't be having their jobs after this. It's like,
so
what did you do?
Just, man, at some level, all of the vitriol and all of the anger is personal. It doesn't have anything to do with the book. Because we talked about this when we first came on. The book doesn't matter. That book was available for 6 months and nobody wanted it.
Nope.
The only reason people want it now is because they think they can flip it and get more money out of it. And they didn't get a chance to do that. And yeah, that's shitty, but that's comic books. Not everybody gets every book, unfortunately. And if everybody did, then nobody would sell them.
Yep.
So, I mean, again, we have to be able to step back from ourselves and look at this at least sort of objectively and realize that there's a lot going on here that isn't just about comic books, and there's a lot of personality involved, and there's a lot of people that clearly don't get along with each other. So, it's drama. It's drama, and if you want to buy into it, go ahead. It's fun. I lived on IG for 4 days. It was great.
Yeah, drama sells. Drama sells.
Oh, of course. I mean, you think of it this way, like this, like I said, for this whole week, this will be the gift that keeps on giving. because there's going to be some like everyone who does content about comic sales and all the channels that do that stuff have plenty to talk about for the whole week, and it doesn't matter when you talk about it, what day that your show is. Everybody will be talking about this specific thing, and have something new to add or some new development that comes up with it. So that all this is doing is it's generating a lot of views. I'll say this: there's a lot of one of the unintended consequences of this is going to generate a lot of views for a lot of people, which is I guess it helps get the community involved. I think King of the Golden State said it like, this is the most lit Monday I've seen on YouTube in years, and it's true. Like I mean, YouTube today was going absolutely insane because of the fact that this was such a big story. So it's definitely something that got everybody's eyes open, and for now it's just that's the story that's going to prevail for a little while. And
that's the thing. From people who know better than us, Marvel has a minimum 3,000 issue print run for these books. If you do an exclusive with them, they will not do it unless you get 3,000 of those books printed off. So, in addition to what they've sold so far, plus the 750 on the variant, yeah, I mean, who knows? It is. Look, again, at some level, I got to admit, I find this shit hilarious, and I think what they've done. Yep.
That's the new post.
Yep.
They're gonna follow up on the post regarding this tomorrow, because I think the person answered without talking to people in charge.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the thing too. I mean, you got to think too. If that's somebody who just works there doing like customer service, like they probably just had to give an answer just to give something. So now they'll have a prepared statement, and they're gonna go ahead. So what does this mean? That the Tuesday shows is gonna be more to talk about, and Wednesday and Thursday. What I mean? It's gonna continue on. So it's definitely something that has legs for now, but it won't be here forever. And people will move on.
What's so funny is with a company like CGC, you would think they have PR people. like they a lot of times they do stuff, and I was like, just because like Matt Nelson is the president, he's not a PR person. He came to business as a grader. No, not a grader. He came to business as a presser. He was a press and clean guy first, and he worked his way up to a grader. He became the head grader, then he became the president. That doesn't mean he's a public relations guy.
No, not at all.
At all. So like, they have people like you're not gonna hire somebody who deals with podiatry to do open heart surgery.
Yeah,
because they're a doctor doesn't mean they can handle everything.
Like Mike Mayhew is actually having Bronze Age Nerds video. I guess Mike Mayhew had an exclusive too, and I guess there was some trouble about how those books got sold and everything, and then people I guess were DMing him directly, and he just whether he just was having a bad day or it's just not something that he should be responding to directly. I guess he had some really just kind of gruff responses back to people, and just kind of getting back at people, and people I guess were giving him a hard time, and he was giving it right back to him, like swearing at people and stuff like that.
You know what's so funny about that? You know what's so funny about that situation? He is thankful the UF4 fiasco.
Oh yeah,
guaranteed. He's so happy that was bigger than his thing, because his thing would have been the big thing that's going into Monday. That would have been the big thing, because it was like he was being rude for no reason.
Yeah, and I agree with what Sid said. Like they caught him at the wrong time and everything. And on top of that, he's not a PI. Like he's probably not the guy that should be answering those type of questions about like why didn't I get my book? Because it's just like he's just looking at it where I was just trying to tell it like why are you yelling at me?
What I can remember from Chad RCG, if he's drinking, he says some stuff. And somebody made a point, say maybe he was lit or something, and it's a good possibility, because I think he might have been already in Chicago at the time.
Yeah, so it's just, it's like I mean, that's a good point when it's just like, he might not be the PI guy, so they'll let somebody else professionally handle it, and then try to, I mean, right now it's damage control, so it's like, whether people choose to accept that or not is, up to them. But it's like when you have something like that to just, jumps up out of nowhere, like, and then on top of that too, you got to figure, this happened over the weekend, and they're probably scrambling to figure everything out when they reopen on a Monday. It's just like, Jesus, all right, we need a second to step back and figure out what to say and how to really address this, just because, I mean, it's a lot of information that they probably got at the same time, and now, where all this backlash wave just came out of nowhere, they just make a quick statement, and rather than just saying no comment, because that doesn't look good either, we stand by our thing, and then they just kind of let it be what it was. So I think that it'll be interesting to see what they have to say, and I think it'll come across a lot more professional than just we stand by our stuff and just slam the door in people's face. So I think that'll be interesting to see, and just in general, it's just a big story right now.
It'll fade into nothing because things always do. And if they never come up with an explanation for why a book with 4 staples in it gets a blue label, then that's going to be something that people will always remember.
Yep.
Like it or not, look, I have been anti-CGC for the better part of a year, because of some experiences that I've had with them, and the lack of service and any number of things. But as long as people still regard them so highly, nothing is going to change in the way that they do business until someone makes a concerted effort to alter the paradigm of CBCS versus CGC and make it a more equitable distribution of books that go from one to the other. The CGC doesn't care. Again, we are talking money that we will never understand.
Yep.
They do not care if this affects them to the tune of $100,000. They don't care.
Once they got involved, once they got involved with Blackstone,
I blame Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and on top of that too, like, even if all of us were like, we'll never submit to them, we'll never submit to CGC ever again. It's only like we're not enough. We don't generate enough money for them to be like, oh my God, we're losing huge people. Like, we don't care. Go ahead, go to CGC.
They don't care. They have how many grading companies under that umbrella?
Yeah. So I mean, we're not even a drop in the bucket.
Throw the middle finger and say F us and stop grading books. Like they can do that. That's how big they are. They can stop writing books if they want to.
I mean, I know somebody who actually, because they caused so much of a stink over a book, they just straight out told them, like, you'll never grade with us ever again. Like we don't want your business anymore. Get the fuck out of here. Like that was that. I mean, it wasn't quite that rude of a response, but it was pretty much, we don't need you.
It's basically was that, it was that because he caused so much problems. They just said, you know what, you're banned from submitting books.
Because in the end, it's just like you're one person, and literally, like you said, it's money that we can't even fathom. So it's just like what you bring to the table is nothing. Like that is not even pocket change for us. Like we don't need you.
Sid and I have talked about this. The other part is not even just submitting to CGC. It's respecting CBCS's grades enough to give them an equivalent price to a CGC book.
Yes.
And a lot of times that doesn't happen.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that think that for some reason a CBCS slab is not worth the same as a CGC slab. And whatever that reason is, it doesn't matter, but it exists. So, there's two sides to it. One is affecting them by not submitting, and the other is finding a way to up the value perceived in a CBCS book.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, what has to happen with that? Because I've seen it happen with one major dealer. He got fed up with CGC, and their response was basically like they would do to any one of us. You can't prove it. We don't need you. And this is a major dealer by Red Hood Comics, and he talked about it. He might still have it on his IG, but he talked about it, and that's why he submits solely to CBCS now. He goes straight CBCS, and guess what? He says till this day, because he says it on his every time he does a live sale, but he says till this day, he hasn't sold a CBCS book under the fair market value of a CGC book, and he said he won't ever do it. And this guy literally bought the Joker suit. He brought the Joker suit from Batman. Yeah, he's that big time. So until some of these dealers, those big dealers, get screwed over like he did, then they would feel the effect. But you got to have those. You can't just have one. You just can't have one person that we know. But he might be Sid, because that's why I kind of went back to CGC. He might have, but I went back to CGC because of the price hike. But I mean, I haven't seen him submit anything to get stuff back graded in a while. I think he hadn't submitted to anybody. I don't think he has submitted to anybody in a while.
And shout out to a different product. If you're not familiar with EGS, guys, if you're just doing books for your PC, highly recommend them. I mean, if you're not worried about resale value, and admittedly a third grading company is not what you want to do if you're trying to sell a book. But if you've got books that you're going to stick in your PC or display on your wall, guys, look up EGS. They make absolutely beautiful presentations. You can customize the labels, and they're switching out their cases, I think, sometime in the next couple months. Their old cases were super clunky and had hinges and stickers and shit on them, but all of that is apparently going away. So again, if what you want is a presentation for a book that you want to display, check out EGS.
It says BCW top loaders.
Look, I can't even find those, Sid. Yeah, they are, Big Dave, but that's what I'm saying. He just released a video showing his new case, which I think is coming out sometime in the fall. Like I said, I've always wanted to use them, but I never would because of that case. That case was just ugly, and like you said, it's a problem.
And the way he did it, it was going to take time because he didn't want to crowdfund it. He didn't want to kickstart it. He didn't want to YouTube fund it. He wanted to do it on his own, and by him doing it on his own, it was going to take a very long time. Because I was on a thing with him; they were doing an interview with him, and I asked, I said, "Would you consider doing a Kickstarter?" Because I thought that would be the best way to crowdfund getting that case started, and he basically didn't want to do it because I don't think he wanted to use other people's money. Because a Kickstarter, you have to think of an incentive to give people to get that funded. And I told him the easiest way is give a person one free book graded. Like, you know, that's basically the same thing. What he was doing was he was getting great stuff, putting that money to the side for the new case. He could have did it the same way, but that was just.
Sid and Ritter are completely right. That case was not built for EGS. That case was just a generic case that you could buy in bulk. His new one is his own mold, and it's far more similar to the CGC or CBCS cases. So, like I said, go check out his video. He shows it off. Take a look at it.
I will do that.
And this is completely an unsolicited thing because I just love the way they look. Like I said, I have yet to use his service because I thought the old case was awful. But I'm pretty sure that once he gets the kinks worked out in this new case,
and he grades hard. If somebody that grades hard,
he does grade hard.
He grades hard.
Yeah.
So if you got a book that comes back a 9.8 from him, that book probably is a 9.9 or a 10.
Yeah.
Because he goes by the old school, and he nitpicks on everything. And he said, and that's how it was. You know, a lot of people forget, and I don't want to go too much longer because Chris has to go. I have to go because I have to bring my daughter to school in the morning. But I like doing this. hopefully we do this more often from this guy, or I might do it too. You know, I might do it once a month. Figure out a day, but we're gonna definitely do this more often and try to keep it going on different channels, maybe more so. You know, do little open kind of chats and we talk about the whole community and stuff like that. But it's definitely something that I definitely would like to touch back on. You know, the next time we do a little chat, talk about EGS and seeing how they're progressing and seeing how their new cases look compared to the old ones. To me, it's one of those opportunities too. If you like to buy and flip stuff, that you can do, you get that EGS book. You know it's going to be a higher grade for CGC. But I want to thank all the guys in the chat. Sid, Big Dave, Rit Ty, Dave Diaz, all you guys for stopping through. Rit Ty, Wilrado, our boy Kyle Walker. I'm trying to whoever else was chilling. Thumbs up, all that good stuff. I'm gonna let these guys share their what they're doing, what's got the guy going on, and we can go from there. What I know, Nola, you just come hang out, but I know you're probably thinking about doing some stuff later.
So we talked about this a little bit a couple of times tonight. YouTube used to have a lot of these types of shows. Lots of people just, anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7 people just kind of talking comic books and pop culture, and that's really kind of gone away. And that's sort of how I got involved in all this. That's why I like YouTube. I don't care about selling books. I honestly go on the auction so that I can hang out with these guys and talk. And so we've talked about it a couple times tonight. So I'm seriously thinking about trying to start up probably a new channel that just exists as sort of like a comic community roundtable sort of thing, open to pretty much anyone that wants to come on, not just one particular like social clique that happens on IG or YouTube. Or that's the fun part for me, is being able to meet new people and hear other people's opinions and have less of an echo chamber and more of a discussion about things. So trying to at least got it on my mind. So I might be hitting some of you up for some thoughts and advice and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm me. Who knows?
Yeah. So that's what Kyle Walker talking about. That's what it was me, Chris, Kyle Walker. That's how I met these guys. I want to say daughter 7. So it's like at least 8 to 9 years ago.
Yeah,
at least 8 to 9 years ago. That's how I met Chris and I met Kyle. Splash Page Comics. A few other people that we met there that's no longer, they're probably around just watching stuff, but they don't really talk or do much. But I think it's a great idea. And I know I'm going to try to at least do one show a month, we just hang out and talk. I think I've done that before on an auction. I think we had an auction hangout. Like we showed some books, like, hey, this is I'm thinking about selling at the price, and then we just started talking and say, all right, hey, I have something I was thinking about. Maybe something like that too. Who knows? But it's a good idea. Let them know, man. DM Nola. Let them in the comments leave recommendations or whatever you think about that. So I think it's a cool idea to bring back. I mean, like I said, that's all the shows that used to be. Chris,
the whole reason I got involved in YouTube.
Yeah.
Chris, what you got, good sir? I know you had a video you said you did.
Yeah, so I made a video on the whole controversy and everything, and just my opinion on it, and just giving, I guess, going through my opinion on what happened, and then just kind of giving a different perspective on what really people can focus on and try to reevaluate what you think is a good con exclusive, and then just kind of also trying to let people know that exactly what Nola said, you can't have everything. It's just not possible. So you know what? Just collect what you love and just go with that, and just kind of figure out where you fit in with what you want to do and what's important to you. Like is getting a sketch at a con, really something that is what you want to consider your exclusive. Like I said before, meeting a creator that you never got to, getting books signed by them, whatever creates a good memory, I think is really a true con exclusive versus some expensive reprint. That's just me. That's my opinion, and I think of that as just being a collector. That's really where I go with it. So I talked about that. I will be making a video showing the books that I got signed at Terrificon, and then this weekend I have Boston Fan Expo. So I'll hopefully
You
get
gonna
some
be
more
on
books
the hunt?
from there. Huh?
You
Oh yeah, no,
gonna
I'll
be
be on the hunt. I'll be home for the hunt. It won't be like when I was coming home from Terrificon. I came home and my modem had basically burnt out and died. So I was like, ready to go on, and I was like, shit, I can't make it because I have no internet. So I had to go ahead and I had to sit out that one. So watch it on the rewind. But yeah, just kind of gonna go ahead and show some stuff, and hopefully I've actually kind of gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole after seeing some of the people were getting sketches and stuff done at Terrificon, where it's just like, you know what, I think I kind of want to start doing that, like getting like remarks on books, or just kind of doing like these jam pieces, or just getting different sketches on different books. So it's I have some blanks that I'm gonna try to get some ideas on, and hopefully start to get some sketches and things on. So we'll see what happens with the show there, but I'm definitely gonna go and show the books I get signed and everything like that, and the books I got signed at Terrificon as well. So I'll be making those videos over the weekend and everything like that.
Yeah, so definitely check that stuff out, man. Appreciate everybody stopping through, hanging out. Like I said, you guys want to see more videos like this, just hit us up, let us know, encourage us to do them more often. Like Chris said, we'll be on the hunt Friday.
Yes.
I'll probably be on the Sands auction Sunday. I'm not 100% sure. I might be in there for a couple rounds. But I'll be doing a video before I forget. I'll be doing a video. I think this came from Man Cave Comics, so I'll be unboxing that probably tomorrow. I'll probably do it tomorrow, so you can see the AOK Man Cave sent me. One of the books I know about, the other book I have no idea. But knowing Man Cave is in the wheelhouse that I've been collecting, because that's how he's been getting all of us. So check that out tomorrow. And what? Oh, Kyle said he might do a live stream this week. So if you do one, Kyle, let us know. I'll definitely jump on if you do one, Kyle. If I'm around, well, I'm off the rest of the week, so Kyle, definitely hit me up. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Big Dave Comics. All I would say, I want to answer that question, not to ignore you since you are a channel member. Do some more research. Check out Go Collect and eBay and sales before you make that, because I can't answer that off the top of my head, but check all those. Yeah, check a couple of those avenues out before you buy that. So, but appreciate you guys. You guys be cool, easy, and we're out of here, man, because we have to go to bed.
Yeah.